Well, joining us now to discuss these major events in Iran is Iranian dissident and investigative journalist Potkin Azamehr, who has been active in fighting against the Islamic Republic for many years already. Potkin, thank you so much for joining us. Just to start, what do you think, is important that the public in America knows about Raisi and who he really was?
Good day to you, Emily. He was known as the Butcher of Tehran. In 1988, when the Iranian political prisoners, mostly left-wing prisoners, were massacred, he was named by a dissident Ayatollah Montazeri as one of the 5 main judges that were presiding through these kangaroo courts. Most of these prisoners, they'd finished their sentences. They should have been released. But the regime was scared of releasing them because the war had ended, and obviously there were problems, shortages, and that after the war. And they were afraid that these activists would then lead an uprising against the regime. So they decided to massacre them, even though their prison sentences had ended. And there were no protests anywhere in the world about it. No one even knew about it. I don't even think Amnesty issued a statement about it. And he was one of those judges. And in the short time that he's been the president, he's been a laughing stock of most of the Iranians. He's come across as very uneducated. He's only really got seminary education. He had difficulties reading numbers. He was coming up with words that were not in the vocabulary. It was an ideal candidate for a lot of the comedy posts on Iranian social media, etc.
And continues to be even today. Now, does his death and what happened yesterday, does it give you any hope as an Iranian, and why or why not?
No, not much, because the president in Iran is not really an important position. Everything is decided by the supreme leader. It's the supreme leader that decides the major policies. Until he's alive, he can hold the different factions together. But when he dies, then I expect a more intense power struggle. I mean, we have internal power struggle within the regime all the time. Every now and again, we go through a period of purges and internal power struggles. But the real intense one will come about after the supreme leader, not after the president. The president is not really important. Presidents come and go, and the major policies don't change.
We are running out of time, but I just wanted to hear from you. What do you anticipate will happen on the ground in Iran now? I know there will be an interim president and an election within 50 days. What do you expect will happen, if anything new?
So the vice president will take over as the interim president for 50 days, and then he's tasked with holding so-called elections, if you could call them elections, in the Islamic Republic to decide the next president. On the more immediate front, what I see is that the majority of Iranians seem to be celebrating. I mean, there must be some Iranians who will be sad, but if we judge anything by the level of participation in the last second round of the parliamentary elections, only 3 to 5%, 3% in larger cities, 5% in rural areas participated in elections. And that's a good poll of like how much support the regime has amongst the population. Maybe 3% of the population will be grieving or something, but I think the vast majority of Iranian populations, if they're not celebrating, I don't think they'll be upset.
All right, Potkin, thank you so much for your time and for your critical insights on these breaking events.
Thanks, Emily.